Watching Credlin. Well, the resignation of Federal Labor MP Dr Mike Kelly from his seat in Eden-Monaro leaves a spot open in our federal parliament, and already it appears it will be hotly contested. My next guest, I know, is a favourite with the common sense crowd and sends plenty of fear into the heart of Labor. If he was to run in Eden-Monaro, I reckon there might be even some Nationals in Canberra that might be fearful he could win. New South Wales Deputy Premier John Barilaro joins me now from Sydney. All right, I'm going to come at you at the top of the show with this. Your name has been bandied around a lot, John Barilaro. Will you leave New South Wales state politics and have a run at Canberra?
Peter, look, it's the question of the day, and I've been honest all day about it. And, you know, people have said this has been on the books for a while and you must have made up your mind, but it's not that. I mean, I think the world has changed so much since bushfires and COVID, and you know, I had indicated that I wasn't going to go beyond 2023 at the state election, and this has come from the side. It's a reality now. I do have to make a decision, and I've said to everybody, I'm going to take the weekend. I'm going to go and hide down at the farm where there's no mobile reception, sit on that tractor, and I tell you what, that's the best place to have a think and talk to family and friends and colleagues and about what are the opportunities? Why am I doing it? I've got to answer that question. Why am I doing it? Is it ego, or is it because I actually can genuinely make a difference? And I've got to sort that out in my head still.
What would motivate you? That's a very good point, because why would you do it? You're the Deputy Premier in New South Wales, you're the leader of the National Party. What would be the motivation? What is it you'd want to achieve in federal politics that you couldn't necessarily achieve in state politics, given the leadership position you're in already? So what are some of the motivations that you already know? And I know politicians, you've already got them at the back of your mind, otherwise you would have ruled it out. What are the things that if you were to take a tilt, you'd want to see happen?
Yeah, Peter, and that's a good question. You know, I've had a remarkable career and always in government and being able to be the leader and the Deputy Premier. I've been able to really force change both at the state and federal level, and I've been strong about that. But one of the things that has stuck with me as the Minister responsible for bushfire recovery is that I've spent a lot of time down on the South Coast with Andrew Constance, and clearly we've got a lot of work to do down there. This is a community, it's industries, it's businesses, it's the community on its knees, and it's not just a touch-up and get back to normal or what it was before. We need a macro approach of rebuilding that whole community for the next generation. And my seat is the adjoining seat of Monaro. I've got a lot to achieve still. And those big issues, you know, nationally, the Murray-Darling Basin Plan, water, that they've been issues that I've always championed, and they're national issues. And, you know, energy, of course, the issue around baseload power. You know, they're the things that I've been interested in. I've been vocal. I've been on your show and you've given me a voice. And
yep.
Now they're the sort of things that I think I can actually make a difference if I was to step up to federal politics. But, geez, I don't feel like I'm finished at state politics either. So this is why the decision's very, very difficult.
You have been very vocal, you're right, on water and the basin plan and how it does, in your view, New South Wales. You've been very vocal on baseload power. I've seen plenty of politicians or would-be politicians outside of Parliament lose the nerve when they get in there and not advocate and stand up for the things that they once did. I've seen a lot of state people turn up in Canberra and have their tail between their legs. What would make you any different?
Well, you know, again, as I said earlier, I've had a wonderful career in New South Wales, 9 years in government. I've reached the highest levels that I can as the leader of the National Party, as Deputy Premier, Minister for Regional New South Wales, Trade, for Resources, things I'm passionate about, and I've loved every moment of it, and bushfire recovery, and even as a leader during this COVID crisis. You know, they're the things that I've achieved, and for me, if I genuinely choose to go to Eden-Monaro, the difference is it's not about another political career, because I'm probably getting to the end of a political career. It's actually about doing a difference, knowing that I'm going to go and be a backbencher in the federal parliament and fighting for Eden-Monaro, and that in itself is where I started, and I know I've got to do an apprenticeship, so I'm excited about that. It actually does excite me, and it's a new leaf. It's closer to home. I live in Queanbeyan and Parliament up the road, and so there is a whole heap of reasons why I can do it, but I just need to get that through my head. And you know, I've been lucky enough. I've worked with Mike Kelly for a long, long time. Would you speak up though, John?
The question was, would you speak up? Would you still be brave on all of those issues, or would you join the sort of the kumbaya circle in Canberra where people are brave before they get there and then they just toe the line?
Peter, what do you think? You know, as the Deputy Premier, I speak up against my own government. As a backbencher, it'd be a lot easier. I absolutely will. I mean, I've always prided myself. The reason I have won 3 elections and I've grown my vote every time is that I've had the guts to call out the issues. I've had the guts to call out individuals, and I've copped a lot of criticism for it. But, you know, my job is easy, and I think all jobs for politicians are easy. Represent your community, be their voice. That's what they have elected you to do, and don't be shy. And I'm confident I won't change that style. It's who I am. I've always been that person, and I've got if I've got an opportunity to do it federally, I promise you I'll be on your show, and we'll be talking about the big issues, the tough issues, and you won't get the 50-50 warm approach from me.
Would you want to be leader? National Party leader in Canberra?
I think every MP has aspirations, but, you know, I'm a realist. We've had the leadership battle federally. What I've got to do is win the seat if I put my hand forward, spend some time doing my apprenticeship. And you know, look, I bring skill set. I mean, if the Prime Minister wants to use me in any other way, of course, I bring a skill set. I've been a minister, I've been a leader and a Deputy Premier. That is a skill set that I can help the party room for the Nats and the government. What I would love to see is, I think Scott Morrison is the Prime Minister of this country. He deserves the extra seat in Parliament. I think he deserves to win the seat of Eden Monero back. We've got to find the right candidate. Let's get it. Let's do the right thing by the people of Eden Monero, bolster the numbers in Parliament, and let Scott Morrison get on with his agenda.
It's refreshing that you didn't rule out leadership aspirations, because no one would believe you if you did. So at least you're, you know, straight up and down. I don't suspect there'd be some in Canberra ready to roll out the red carpet for you, though, some in the National Party in particular. Are you concerned about where the National Party brand is? One of the states where you're doing it the worst is in New South Wales, particularly in the west of the state. Shooters and fishers are very strong. I think they would have had a stronger crack at the federal government if it hadn't have hit so close to the New South Wales state government last year. What's wrong with the National Party brand that you would want to improve if you were in Canberra?
Yeah, and it's a fair point. You know, the National Party brand normally when we were in government, because we're just seen as being the junior partner to the Liberal Party, and somehow they, you know, people just assume that we kowtow to the Liberal Party, and that in itself hurts us. We've got to have our own identity. And I think when Barnaby Joyce was leader, there was a clear identity of the National Party. During tough times like drought, people look to the National Party, and they can actually be critical of us. And, you know, parties like the Shooters who put their hand up, who promise a lot but can't deliver. I'm just going to remind everybody, we've been around for 100 years, and regional Australia is always best served when we're in government. But we've got a lot of work to do. I've got to do that in New South Wales, let alone federally. But, you know, we've got to pitch a value that we are the party that represents the voices of our changing communities, and we shouldn't be shy about that. We should never be shy that who we are, where we've come from, and what the future looks like, regardless what the polls may say or not. And when we're in government, we've got to clearly distinguish ourselves as the National Party, who is a partner in a coalition. We're not held to ransom by the Liberals, but we are a partner, and we are best served when we're working together.
My colleague Andrew Clennell was out there today after the announcement that Mike Kelly would leave. He made it clear that he thinks you'll run and that you will win, three-cornered contest or not. Is there any chance that the Liberals and the Nationals could sit down in New South Wales and agree that only one would take a tilt at the seat? I heard the Prime Minister say that the other day. He expects a Liberal to run, but I've seen plenty of times where the leader says that and then the deal's done later on. Do you think that could be a circumstance?
It has to be the case. I mean, the Labor Party, if it's correct, will pre-select the mayor of Bega, or some other names that I've heard today. They're going to be quality candidates. If we think we're going to walk into this seat and win it because Mike Kelly has stepped aside and his personal brand is strong, there's no question he's held that seat outside of government because of his brand. But we can't take it for granted. Three-corner contest, well, we saw what happened in Gilmore. You know, it tore apart the Liberals and Nationals, and we ended up with the Labor Party. And, you know, I believe that the Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister, our executives, need to look to the research, the polling and the data, and look for the best candidate that can actually win the seat for the coalition. This is about strengthening the Prime Minister's agenda, his numbers in the Parliament, and we've got to be more mature. We cannot have this fight. The public won't accept it. You know, I've got all respect for Jim Molan. I've got all respect for Andrew Constance. I've got all respect for the Liberal Party members that vote for me when they vote in the seat of Monero. This is not the time for us to have an internal squabble, but this is a time when we should unite, create history, and give the Prime Minister the power that he needs and the support he needs to get on with an agenda that needs to get this country moving again through this crisis of COVID-19.
All right, well, I look forward to when you make your announcement that you will run and to have you back on this show, John Barilaro.
Thank you, Peter.
Not fooling anyone, is he?